The year is 2021, and we all got to witness the disaster that is the Suicide Squad. Now, during that time, the main question that I had to ask was, how is it that Warner Brothers has found themselves here? I mean, think about it. The studio had four $100 million opening weekends in a row, something that the MCU has yet to do, not to mention an average of $300 million domestically. Go look it up. And when you think about the video sales, they were off the charts. And the merchandise sales were fantastic for those first four DCEU films. So it made me wonder, why did Warner Brothers decide to go this route? Today, we have our answer. And Gavin O'Connor is revealing the dysfunction in the industry. Now look, before I get started, do you both three major favors. Please hit that subscribe button. And after you hit that subscribe button, make sure you hit the notification bell because YouTube absolutely sucks at notifying subscribers that content creators has uploaded videos to their platform. Hitting that notification bell certainly helps. And don't forget to hit that like button to help me out with that algorithm, baby. Now let's get into today's news. This article is coming from comicbookmovie.com. If you're familiar with the 4KO, you will know that this is my preferred site to get my news from. So shout out to them for continuing to bring the noise. It is titled, Gavin O'Connor reveals scrapped Suicide Squad 2 story details. Warner Brothers wanted to make it a comedy. That's right. And they did that without him, right? And we saw how that went. All right. Suicide Squad was released in 2016 to largely negative reviews. However, director David Ayer has maintained that the movie we saw in theaters was not the version he wanted or planned to bring to the big screen. All right. It's no secret that Warner Brothers interfered, adding colorful graphics and catchy pop tunes to lighten the blockbuster's tone. That and a new ending came after people largely rejected Batman vs. Superman Dawn of Justice, dark approach to his characters. Now look, if you think about it like this, Batman vs. Superman should have never derailed that project. That's right. And let me tell you why. As much as you may hate it, it made money. That's all what matters. Yeah, I know we all want good films. We all do. But somebody liked it. And that is the point I'm trying to make here. All right, let's go. Before James Gunn helmed 2021's The Suicide Squad, Gavin O'Connor, he has also written Warrior and the Accountant, was writing a version of the movie we heard was set to pit Task Force X against Black Adam. So I don't know if that was going to be The Rock or not, but that sounds lit. I mean, if it was The Rock and Will Smith in a film together, that's $1 billion. And I'm going to go over that later on in this video. Talking to Collider, the filmmaker revealed that Will Smith's Deadshot was going to be put front and center, in Suicide Squad 2 and blame Warner Brothers and the new DC president, Walter Amada, we're assuming, for wanting to make it a comedy. It's another example. Oh, this is a quote. This is what he's saying. It's another example of the dysfunction of our industry. I had a very specific take. They wanted to do it. I think I was probably 3/4 of the way into the script when they brought in a new regime, and all the DC people I was working with were gone. I was writing on a lot. I got a little bungalow there. Writing partner and I would just meet there and write every day. All right. There was a knock on the door, and it was the new DC president. He said, "So where are you with the script?" I said, "It's almost done." And he said, "Can I read it?" And I said, "Well, you can read it when it's done." A couple of weeks later, I gave it to him, and he said, "Can you make it a comedy?" And I said, "That's not what I wrote. And that's not the agreement I have with the studio." He wanted to make it into a comedy. And I was like, all right, I guess I won't be working here. Quote, it was really a father-daughter story with Deadshot and his daughter. Oh my goodness, I would love to see that. All right. Despite issues behind the scenes and negative reviews, Suicide Squad still grossed $749 million worldwide at the box office. You forgot to say without China. A lot of people, they don't recognize that about the Suicide Squad's box office. It was missing the world's second largest market at that time. So think about it. That's an $800 million film. And to add to what I said earlier about Warner Brothers' domestic average at that time of $300 million domestically, they were also averaging $800 million per film worldwide. I just want to point that out. All right. Warner Brothers never gave up on the idea of a sequel, and Gunn's take was critically acclaimed. I'm messing up today. I'm sorry, y'all. Can't even speak. However, it was also released at the height of the pandemic, grossing only $169 million worldwide. Yeah, that is an excuse because Godzilla versus Kong came out a few months before under the same conditions and with less theaters and still grossed $400 million worldwide. Dune Part 1 also released later that year and it still grossed $400 million worldwide. And yes, all three films was available on HBO Max as well. I just want to point that out. I feel like a lot of people, they tend to look over that simple fact, but it is there. That's right. You can go look it up. So before you say, well, it was the pandemic, it still was supposed to gross $400 million worldwide. If Godzilla versus Kong can gross $400 million worldwide in March, and Dune can gross $400 million worldwide in November, Suicide Squad, or should I say the Suicide Squad, do not get them confused, because one was successful and the other was a failure. It released in the summer. That's right, August. Yeah, August. And it flopped hard. Now, let's talk about this. This is a shame. And I say that because you get Walter Mata in there, right? And he has an idea for DC that we all know now did not work. It did not work. In fact, everything that Walter Mata attempted to do was heavily rejected. Y'all saw The Flash, Blue Beetle, The Suicide Squad, Wonder Woman 1984. Yes, all of those films were greenlit by Walter Mata. That was his direction and it was his choice. He single-handedly ruined the DCEU. And he did it with malice. You know what I'm saying? Like, this was intentional. How do you sabotage your own universe? And speaking of Hamada, why are you even, in this position in the first place? The former guy got you over $100 million domestically for 4 films in a row. I don't know what the hell is wrong with this company. It is in their DNA. As I told you before, nothing is going to change regarding the mindset of this studio. And speaking of Will Smith, Hamada should have known that no Will Smith sequel without Will Smith has been successful. Go look it up. It's a Hollywood curse. Nobody's going to give you a sequel for a Will Smith film without him. And you had one of the biggest actors of all time in your house and you let him leave. How? The main reason why Suicide Squad 2016 grossed $749 million worldwide without China was because of Will Smith. That's right. And we know this because if you go look at Hancock's box office, you will realize that Hancock would be $1 billion film in today's market. Go look it up. It made $650 million worldwide way back then, I believe. Let me see. I'm about to tell you for real. Hancock came out in 2008. It grossed $227 million domestically, $400 million overseas, and $629 million worldwide. That adjusts for $1 billion, dog. And you had this actor in your house and you let him leave. You were supposed to be cooking this man breakfast, lunch, dinner, making up his bed. You know what I'm saying? Keeping the house clean. This is Will Smith, out of all people. And you know that the bones of the character is what Warner Brothers wanted. There's a reason why you got Bloodsport in the Suicide Squad. They wanted a Will Smith mimic, and they failed drastically. So when it comes to Warner Brothers, this whole situation with Suicide Squad 2016 has been messed up from the start. That's right. The studio would never get it. They would never understand how to be successful in this business. And it's a shame because at one point in time, they had the blueprint. They did. Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter. I mean, those were some big franchises, man. And don't get me wrong, they're going to have their hits every so often, like that of Barbie and Dune 2. You know what I'm saying? This year is Minecraft. And we don't know if it's also going to be that of Superman right now because the jury is still out. It is still out on Superman. But at one point in time, Warner Brothers was on the roll. That's right, we're on a roll. They were winning Oscars left and right. I mean, they're still winning them. But before, they were getting Oscars for things that you would never have thought they would be getting them from, like Batman. I mean, I was like, wow. Batman has bought Warner Brothers like 4 or 5 Oscars. I know for a fact that the Lord of the Rings, Return of the King, I believe, bought him a lot as well. But Batman over the years has bought Warner Brothers some nice awards, man. You know what I'm saying? But man, this studio is it's hexed. It's hexed. Nothing would ever go right. Even when they do have a hit, you best believe later that year or sometime next year, they're going to have a disaster.